Big Shanny, 4th grade. It is Mrs. Wright here, coming to you from my home office. I wanted to do a little video for you today on what we call meter, which is the rhythm and the beats of a poem. You've probably experienced maybe a little bit of this in music class because it's very similar. But part of the big thing that we need you to understand when you're doing meter is that it's really about the syllables or the beats of a word. And you guys did a lot of that when you were in the younger years with decoding words, chunking words up so that you could read them and even spell them. So the way that meter works is that it is the stressed and unstressed syllables in a line of poetry. And so when you read a rhyming poem, it has a rhythm, it has a beat, okay? And while those two things are a little bit different, you know, rhyme scheme and rhythm and rhyme and all of those kinds of things are a little bit different with meter, they all connect. So the first thing I want to show you is a couple lines of poetry and how these things break up. But when we talk about syllables, we talk about the beats in a word. So the way I like to do this is to think of a word that has multiple syllables and then clap it out. So I think of a word like, let me think, I had one, telescope. Telescope has 3 beats to it. So you can also kind of do it with your chin. Telescope. How many times does your chin go down? You can do it with your name. You might only have 1 syllable name, such as my son, who is Jake, okay? Or if I call him by his full name, which is Jacob, he gets 2 beats. Or my first name is Karen, so I would be Karen. There's 2 beats to that. So you can do that with your own name. So when we talk about a line of poetry, it's very similar. So this first line right here says, if you were only 1 inch tall, if you were only 1 inch tall. So that line right there has 8 beats in the meter. So the meter is 8. The second part of that line says, you'd ride a worm to school. Now don't be fooled, because sometimes you think a longer word automatically has more than 1 beat, but sometimes it doesn't. So that one has 6. But when you look down here at this longer line, and just so you know, these 2 lines right here are actually one big long line in this poem, but it wouldn't fit across the board. So this one is the next line, and it says, the teardrop, there's 2, of a crying, 2, ant would be your swimming pool. So that's a total of 14 beats right there in that meter. So if you add up the 8 and the 6, that equals 14, because remember what I told you, that this is technically 1 line, but it wouldn't fit across my board. So that equaled 14, and guess what? The next line also equaled 14. Typically in a rhyming poem, the lines are going to have, their meter is going to be very close together. So each line might not be exactly, but typically it's going to be almost the same. And the reason is that when you read a poem, it has a rhythm. And if the rhythm is off by beats, then it's not going to sound the same as you do it. You're going to feel like you're stumbling. So this is how this would sound if I were to read it outright. If you were only 1 inch tall, you'd ride a worm to school. The teardrop of a crying ant would be your swimming pool. You see how it all flows together. So I hope that helps a little bit to clarify meter for you, so that when you do your assignment in a little while, when you do, I believe it's The Life of a Cupcake, and you're looking for it, I'm going to give you a little hint when you do that poem. You're going to notice that it's going to be a little repetitive. okay? And that's because they want to keep the same meter. If you throw it off, your reader gets very confused that it doesn't sound right, okay? So I hope that helped you today, and we miss you so much at Big Shanty. This is certainly not the classroom that I'm used to, but I hope it helped, and we hope to see you guys real soon. Stay healthy and safe. Bye.